A small bomb was left outside a counting centre in Londonderry, but elsewhere the election was unaffected. And here in Belfast came a spectacular defeat. Northern Ireland's First Minister Peter Robinson lost the seat he had held for 31 years. But afterwards he insisted it wasn't the end of his political career.
I will always do my best to get the best deal for the people of Northern Ireland. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
He may have lost, but his party won 8 Westminster seats, a useful number to have in a hung parliament. One of their new MPs is Ian Paisley Jr., who last night won the seat his father held for 40 years. He says the DUP team at Westminster is prepared to talk to David Cameron or Gordon Brown.
We're free and unfettered from any of the parties, and we can work with all of them, and that we've got to make sure that we get the best deal for Northern Ireland.
It was a bad night for the Tories here. David Cameron's pact with the Ulster Unionists didn't produce any seats. It was a better election for Sinn Féin, who won 1 seat by a majority of just 4 votes. This win gave them a total of 5 and second place in the Northern Ireland results table.
Bridges straddle the Clyde. Political bridge building is standard in the Scottish Parliament and is now needed at Westminster. But Scotland remains different. Labour's vote increased here. The Tory share is up slightly, but they remain confined to a single Scottish seat. Labour are delighted, if a little surprised, at the scope of their relative success in Scotland. And despite needing friends to govern, established enmity persists. They heap scorn on the SNP.
Over 1 million votes again. Labour is back as Scotland's party. The SNP have gone backwards into retreat, and a real humiliation for them.
The SNP leader, Alex Salmond, fell far short of his 20-seat target, but he still seeks influence. No deal with the Tories, rejected, he says, by Scotland, but he'd accept civil service support for possible talks with Labour.
Arithmetically, if anything other than a Liberal-Tory coalition is to come into place, then the votes of the SNP and our allies in Plaid Cymru are going to be necessary.
At Holyrood, the SNP govern as a minority. So could that experience translate into cooperation with Labour at Westminster? Unlikely. Mutual suspicion and arithmetic say no. The overall Scottish picture, no change in seats, all change in cross-border relations.
In Wales, Labour took some blows. Former First Minister Rhodri Morgan, the comforting husband, as his wife Julie was squeezed out in Cardiff North.
Jonathan Evans.
But their core vote held firm, even regaining the totemic seat of Blaenau Gwent, on a night where Labour sighs of relief were almost audible.
I'm just delighted. It's a fantastic thing to happen. I've worked so hard for the last 2.5 years to win over the people of Blaenau Gwent.
For the Conservatives, no breakthrough, pleased with their 5 new seats, delighted to oust the surprised Liberal Democrat Lembit Opik.
This is not the result which I expected or wanted, and as Glyn says, it is personally very disappointing.
The Lib Dems fell short, as did Plaid Cymru, losing ground in areas where they'd hoped to gain momentum before next year's Assembly election. But though the ballot boxes in Wales gave them very little, that's not to say Plaid will walk away empty-handed from talks in Westminster.
Well, what we've made it clear is that we are prepared to talk in order to secure a good deal for the people of Wales. We made that clear during the campaign. You know, we wanted to make sure we have a fair funding formula, that the vulnerable are protected, our economy comes out of recession.
But look at the overall picture in Wales, and it's changed rather less than many had imagined. Bethan Powys, BBC News, Cardiff.
11:55. So it's been an incredible 24 hours. Let's just have a look back at some of the defining moments.